to yet another exciting podcast, the Awanachi Conversations. These are conversations that count. These are real life conversations that are here to inspire, to encourage, and to remind you that you too can be so much more with determination, with resilience, and of course with faith in God. I'm your host, Mpunga Chipepo-Simukwai, and I would like to welcome you to another exciting podcast as I will be hosting Zambia's first female surgeon. You heard that right. Zambia's first female surgeon, and that's Dr. Jacqueline Mulundika Mulwanda. Doc, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You have no idea how excited I've been looking forward to this conversation. And we kept saying we need to find time for us to just share your journey with us. So we're so excited that you could actually make time and join us on the set today.
Very happy to be here.
Okay. Now, can you tell us a bit about your background before we dive into the medicine aspect? Just take us through your childhood, your growing up. What was it like growing up to the person that you are now?
Well, I was the second born to Edwin Mulundika and Christine Mulundika. And I believe I was born in Buchi. I have no idea what Buchi was because I came into Lusaka as a toddler and we moved places. And I went to Woodlands Primary School, which is now called Woodlands A. I won't give my comments on that. My son was like, Woodlands A?
Why the A?
Because they produced a B after that.
Okay.
But in our time, it was Woodlands Primary School.
Right.
Yeah. And then I went to Roma Girls Secondary School. And that was a great school. Under the Sisters of Charity. And they really added to what Mom had done at home. Yeah, they fine-tuned. And we were the last group of ladies when we finished school, Form 5 then, which is called Grade 12, to go to national service.
And that was compulsory, right?
It was compulsory. His Excellency Dr. Kaunda sent you buses to your schools, no negotiation. Yeah, so you just got out of school, into the buses with your suitcases, and for the ladies, we went to Mansa and Solwezi. I was in Solwezi. Came back from there and went to university. And when you passed to go to a college or to go to your tertiary education, you did, ideally you did, like when the results came out, you came back. But we were the last group and we actually all came back in April of that year because typhoid broke out in Mansa and one girl passed on. Oh, wow. So they closed the girls' camps. And that was the end of the girls' camps. The boys, I think, went even the following year. Then ZNS finished the national service training for after school.
Now,
finished then.
Just to dwell in on the ZNS aspect, how did that shape the woman that you are today? The ZNS training, straight out of grade 12, you've got buses waiting for you. How did that shape the woman that you are today?
You know, okay, if I go back a bit, from home, Mom was a teacher when we were young and evolved into being a unionist, then a politician. She was a freedom fighter, though, before being a teacher. So Mom was a disciplinarian. Dad was a disciplinarian too, but cool, quiet. Dad just needed to look at you. He didn't even have to talk, and you knew whether you were in the right or wrong. But Mom taught and came home and continued with her teaching.
Yeah.
So, like from home, there was already this discipline. Then I went to a nun school, girls' school, and they fine-tuned you. Then we went to service. What I appreciate about national service is that it brought you down a bit. It's like we came from across the country, different backgrounds, town girls, village girls, and everything. But those instructors brought you all to the same level. And they really made you feel like a recruit was, I always remember one warrant officer class 1, who every morning when he's coming to call us out for road run, he'll be calling from where they stayed up to our barracks. And say, hey, recruitiwe uko, recruitiwe. Asembe recruit ni kanyama, asembe sinikudia.
Oh, wow.
You know, like, so, chap, you are here and we are in charge. So you got to do as we say. And it really taught you to, at that time, now you can use this term, think up outside the box. Because we lived in barracks and you ran and they provided food. But you just had to think of other things. They just jived you up, you know. You became a survivor. Because we're in the bush. Believe it or not, we didn't even imagine we're in the bush. But you ran in the morning.
Yeah.
We didn't even think about animals and what the idea was here we're doing the road run. You know, and we're coming back. And whether there's water or not, you need to bath. So if it means you go to a Kanyare stream or something, you will do it.
Oh, wow.
And dress up in your combat and you're there looking as smart as ever. So, you know, there's just something that service did. And I look to our children now, and I think they need it actually more than we did.
Absolutely.
Because I think our parents did a lot.
I was asking you that. You know, we heard stories. Obviously, we didn't experience the ZNS days, you know, the national service. But a question that, you know, beckons an answer is, do we think the current generation should be considering, you know, national service?
I would say yes to the power of 10. Because I think, I need to say this. As parents now in this generation, I think, I don't know whether we overlove the children, but we don't do, what do you call that, tough love. Some do, but I think most of us don't. So there's this thing of where we've kind of spoilt the children a little. And man, if they went to service, they would actually jack up and realize, oh no, I am not the focus of the world, you know. And all this, hey, my rights, my what. No, there they just told you, my friend, you got to become fit here, you know.
You've got things to do.
Yes. And there's nothing like, all of you are doing it. So there's nothing like, no, hey, me, this, me, that, me, you, what? You are just here because if you were not fit to come to service, you were not going to come in the first place. The ones who were not well never went to service. They were you know, looked at and they said, these ones can't stand that kind of training and so on. So really, I think this generation does need it. They do. It would help so much, and they'll realize that the world is the world. It's not the little castle they think they live in. Yeah.
Now, Dr. Jackie, you made history by becoming Zambia's first qualified female surgeon. Could you take us through that, you know, being a pioneer in a obviously male-dominated space and breaking through in surgery? I know how complicated that can be. We were just sharing earlier about how I've been binging on a series on Netflix called The Good Doctor, because I just find the ER, you know, the theater very interesting with all the dynamics that change. But could you take us through your journey of being Zambia's first female surgeon? How did that come up, and how does it make you feel when you look back?
Well, it makes me feel good. When you go into medical school, I'll start from there. You are exposed to all aspects of medicine. And when you go into the clinical field, that is year 5, 6, and 7, you go through the main specialties like internal medicine, general surgery, pediatrics, which is children, and obstetrics and gynecology. So you do that in 5th year, at 5th year level. 6th year, you do the various specialties which fall under the various departments. 6th, 7th year, you go through the 4 again. And then you graduate, and internship, you go through the 4 again. So as you're coming through, you kind of start zeroing in on what you think you want to do. And by the time I was getting end of 7th year, I thought I liked pediatrics, children's medicine, and general surgery. That's where I had reached. So when I went into internship, at that time we were doing a year, like 3 months in each department. When I went through pediatrics, I liked it, but I was very affected by losing a child, especially the ones who came during the emergency time, and maybe within 24 hours or 48, you lose a child. And I was like, okay, it won't really go down well with me. It's either I'll have a funeral every day, or I'll get so upset with the mothers who don't tell you the full history, whether they are scared or they're probably stressed with their child, or they don't know how you react to whatever they'll tell you. And I did surgery, and I said, okay, I think surgery is what I like. One of the stories I have in peds that has stuck with me, it's been many years since I did that, but this very lovely baby came, and I think we zeroed down to it being septicemic, chubby child, febrile, as in high temperature and everything. And I'm the one who was taking the history from the mother. So this, that. And we always asked in pediatrics, because it's the mother who's giving you, like, did you give any medication, traditional medication? We know some okay. So then we're running around. My consultant, that time it was like JRMO, me, intern, and my consultant, and managed to put a drip up and everything. But before long, the child collapsed, like right in front of me. And as this child is dying, the child pukes, and a lot of black stuff. Like, I know how we used to, when you burn leaves and stuff. So this child pukes, and I look at the mother. I'm like, this child was given something which could have added to the toxicity, or maybe it didn't, but just that was like, oh my God. I could have hit the roof, but you're the doctor, so the mother is stressed, she's crying and everything. And I went home that day, I was like, oh no, I think I won't manage. I won't manage, because it's like, I'll either, if I'm not too stressed with the loss of the child, I'll be getting so angry with the mothers or the caregiver who brings the child. And so that's how I dropped peds and went to surgery. And I went to surgery because I liked it. I like surgery. I like the fact that, you diagnose a problem, you dealt with it most of the time, especially if the problem is just surgical. The person goes back to normal life, as opposed to when there's an underlying medical problem. Sometimes the healing will be different. You go into certain complications. But if I come and present to you just with a surgical problem, the results are usually good. And you really feel like, yeah, I helped somebody here. So that's how I went into surgery. And I did not realize that I was not going there like as a first female or anything, no. But in my class, there were just 3 of us, 2 guys and myself, in the Masters of Medicine class that time. And I went through with it. I graduated and started work. And it's only in 2014, I say thanks to the Zambia Association of University Women. I don't know if they still do it now, but in those years, there were every Women's Day, Women's Day, International Women's Day, they would focus on a group of women who are in a male-dominated area. I knew that they had done engineers before that, and I don't know which other thingy. But in 2014, they did female general surgeons. And you won't believe we were 5 of us. And this is 2014. The Masters of Medicine program started in 1982 for all the specialties. And this is 2014, and there are 5 female surgeons. Yeah. And okay, at that time, there were like 59 surgeons altogether. We were 5 female surgeons, and it was like, I think 8.5%, somewhere there. So that's when it was like, oh, I was the senior most person here out of the 5. And I'm like, okay, the first female surgeon. Great. When I started doing surgery, there was another female doing it. She was like a year or two ahead of me, but she stopped and she went and pursued other things. So that's when it actually dawned on me, being the first female surgeon. As at now, like 2023 graduation, there are about 31 females out of 160 something males. I think the percentage is like 19%. We're still not many.
Yeah. But some progress.
Yes.
It's better than no progress at all.
Yes, and it's kind of spread out. There are general surgeons, there are people in orthopedics, in urology, and the various surgical specialties. So it actually, feels good that, it did open a door in a place which people thought was not so female-oriented. And in fact, when I was in training, both undergraduate and postgraduate, there was only one female surgeon, a white lady, Dr. Bailey. I think she was from the UK. And the rest were males. The rest were males. All my teachers, apart from Dr. Bailey, were males.
Males, yeah.
Yeah, so it really feels... Now I can look back and say, I did open a door.
And you brought this to us. And it reads, it's a beautiful piece, by the way. It says, the Zambia Association of University Women Inspiring Change, Celebrating God's Favor for 50 years of women's excellent achievements, recognizes and honors Zambian female surgeon Dr. Jacqueline Mulundika on International Women's Day in 2014. Amazing work there. Now, obviously, Dr. Jacqueline, like in any space where you are the trailblazer, you are the pioneer, it comes with its own challenges. What have been some of your experiences as Zambia's first female surgeon in a male-dominated space? What are some of the challenges that you have had to deal with, and how have you navigated those ones?
This is the challenge. Maybe I'll just say that it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of energy, but somehow I did have the stamina. But I would say probably the male would have was a bit stronger than me, but I could stand a whole core of getting into surgery like 10 a.m. of that day, 10 hours, and coming out the following day. I could stand that because in that time, we're not so many. So when you're on call, first you dealt with the outside casualty and everything, and then you got into surgery. And and that time, the super specialties, it was like general surgery and orthopedics. Those were the two main ones. So you did everything as in general. You did the brain, you did the bones, you did all the other tissues, you did the abdomen. That's the main focus of general surgery, I think, abdominal surgery, thoracoabdominal surgery. And you could stand and sit down for some time, a few minutes, and stand again and continue until you're done, until you hand over to the next group coming in for the call the following day. And so for me, that's maybe just a challenge. Otherwise, from my male folks, I think there was a lot of encouragement, especially from my teachers that time. Most of them were either from the UK, from America. I remember Professor Jim Jewell at that time running me through my first appendicectomy. Like he didn't even scrub with me. He was standing at the door of the theater and leading me through this. So are you doing, and he was so encouraging. Oh, you're doing very well. Have you gone that way? Okay, so now do this. And ta-da, I had taken out that appendix. Wow. And that sutured this patient, and the patient did very well. So, and now currently, there are male students who came through general surgery, and it feels so good. Like most of the time, females are few, even just in medicine in general. You have a medical gathering, you can count the females. So to hear the male general surgeons saying, oh, she taught us. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, I taught you. I'm like, and then it always goes back to the fact that the person who's listening will remember more than the person who's talking. So for me, it's been good. It's been good,
It's encouraging to hear that narrative of the men supporting. Sometimes there's this conversation around women don't support each other, and then sometimes what you get to hear is all men won't support the women that are breaking the ceilings in male-dominated spaces. But it's really encouraging to hear that the men in your field have been supportive. Now, like every surgeon, I would like to think, you always have that memorable surgery, or that you did that still sticks, because I imagine you do so many of them and probably can't remember each and every one of them in detail. But which one would you point to and still say that particular surgery stood out because of maybe a particular experience or what was involved in that particular surgery?
There are a number, but the one that comes to mind now is when I did my first prostatectomy as a lead surgeon. Prostatectomy is removing the prostate, and this is just an enlarged prostate, what we call a benign prostatic hypertrophy. So men who have gone through this thing of difficulty in passing urine, pain and stuff like that. And there was this gentleman, and because you're in training, that's the urologist, the already qualified and experienced urologist would do what we call a transurethral, that you just go like endoscopically through the urethra and you remove the tissue that is closing the passage of passing urine. So for us in training, we did what we call open prostatectomies. You open like in the pelvic area, go through the bladder and access the prostate and remove it. And you you put a catheter there, blow up the balloon to stop the pressure of the bleeding from the bed where you've removed this organ. And most of the time you'd find situations where there's bleeding into the bladder and the catheter gets blocked and then the patient goes into pain and all sorts of things. But I did my first prostatectomy and it went very well. And this gentleman, up to the time I was still in training, still remembered. I don't remember his name. I just remember that he worked in what was called Rendezvous in that time in town. That was like a supermarket. And it was in town somewhere near the post office. So every time I went into town and went into this shop, this gentleman would remember me, and I'd always, he would look for something to give me. Most of the time, I just said, no, just give me bread. So he'd always, but he was so happy with the result so was I, of this operation, that he went back to no problems, came back for review, and he did well. Oh, wow. So that one sticks. And I mean, there were other procedures, but yeah, that one I always remember. It's unfortunate I can't remember the gentleman's name, but for me, I guess he was a patient amongst many.
Oh, wow. Now, how has your career evolved over the years? And, in terms of, you've mentioned that there is some growth in terms of the number of females that are interested in surgery. How has your career evolved in that sense, and then also are there opportunities or plans for mentorship from you, particularly for the younger generation?
Yeah, well, I always say I'm open to anyone who wants to pursue not even just surgery, but in medicine, I think you need to do what you like. It's a lot of work. You need to enjoy what you're doing. But then again, when it comes to surgery, it is not impossible, despite the fact that it's still very male-dominated. But if it's something that gives you the satisfaction of helping people, I didn't say this, but I knew I wanted to be a doctor even when I was still at school. Like, I like the idea of helping people. there are many other ways you can help people, but I think a person who is unwell, they really need that attention. And even the bedsider who is stressed because they are looking after this patient. So I said medicine, and I went to university and natural sciences. I knew I wanted to do medicine, come rain, come shine, until I got there, So for mentorship, I think as you're going into school, now I'd even like us to give a lot more career guidance. I don't think we have too much of it in our secondary schools. And I think it should start from there so that a person is not going into tertiary education because they have to.
Absolutely.
Let them have an idea of what they want to do, or at least, So that's a kind of, when I look, that's a kind of mentorship we need to be giving at that level, so that when they're getting into this career, it's really something they want to do. It's like, no, not because, okay, I did natural sciences, then at the end of it, there was a choice of engineering, medicine, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, no, this side was full, so I went into, no, I think let's know what I want to do and do it.
Yeah. Now, obviously, your life as a surgeon is busy. What do you do in your free time? How do you have that moment of self-care? How does that look like for you when you're not at work?
Okay, like now, I must say, I've actually retired, but what did I do in those days? I wasn't the person who slept. Okay, I'm not like, I'm tired, I should rest, sleep, and then if we started the court today, I don't sleep tonight, I will not sleep during the day. Tomorrow I will sleep at night, and that's how I kept it. And that's I can easily stay awake if I intend to stay awake. So, out of work, something Mom put in us was the importance of family. So for me, I would spend time like, okay, let me catch up with a few relatives. I'll go there. I'm not a person who is disciplined enough to run on my own or exercise at home. So if I'm able to join a gym, which I used to do in those days, even now, if I really want to do exercise, I have to join a gym. Yeah, so those are things I'll do. And just maybe have a laugh with friends. Yeah. Once upon a time, I played badminton. I don't play that anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And, so, yeah.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, Dr. Jackie, what would be your word, or your message to a young Zambian woman, in your field, or somebody who's contemplating to pursue a career in surgery? What would be a word of encouragement to such a one? Maybe they're in secondary school now, they're thinking about what career they would like to get into after secondary school.
I think my word of encouragement is that if that is what you feel you want to do, do it. Don't listen. I didn't have to go ask anyone to say, okay, I think I want to do medicine. Do you think it's a good idea? No. I'm going to do medicine. End of story. So if that's what you feel you want to do, that is possibly your calling. So do it. And be ready to hold the bull by its horns. Whichever way it's going to take you around, you hold on to those horns until you get to where you're going. And there is nothing impossible about it. You can do it.
Okay.
So they can do it.
Yeah. You can do it. Dr. Jackie, thank you so much for coming through to the Awanachi Conversations. I know we'll definitely call on you a little later, also just for us to pick up this conversation. I know there's a lot that we haven't touched. I would be curious to know the influence that your mom had, a freedom fighter, on the woman that you are now, a woman that we read about in the books, part of Zambia's history. So it would be nice for you just to come through so we could pick up that conversation around the influence of mothers and how they impact the people that we become. So thank you so much for coming through to the conversation.
Thank you for having me. And yes, I'm available anytime.
Okay.
Especially in my retired state.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you so much. Well, there you have it. I've been talking to Dr. Jacqueline Mulundika Mulwanda, who's just been sharing with us her journey about being Zambia's first female surgeon. So do join us at another time for another exciting podcast. I've been your host, Mpunga Chipepo-Simukwai. Goodbye and God bless you.